wants to tame me. You can't catch me on the run, cause I'm gone, yeah. I blaze trails, set fire to what's behind me. No, I'm never looking back, I'm on the run. I could only ever be what I'm made to be. It feels good when I'm living on the edge. Watch me now, roll like thunder, gonna shake the ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now.
Hello, Mountaineers. I'm the Wolfman, Dale Wolfley, and this is the WolfMan's call for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Game 12. The Mountaineers are 4-7, last game of the season. The WolfMan's call, of course, is brought to you by our great friends at Parmar Stores. And there's not a Parmar store near you now. There will be one soon. And Arson Grange Company. Switch to hemp, just the dip. Do it the AGC way, man. Arson Grange Company, hemp. And White Oak Pastures, radical traditional farming. Good for the animals, good for the land, good for the village. The Mountaineers football. What do you think of the season? Obviously, you can't be real happy with the record. Can't be real happy with what's gone on the inside. Actually, I thought the team started out possibly in a good way. I think the beginning of the season really hurt them, hurt their confidence a bit, hurt what they were about, especially with a brand new OC, a brand new quarterback. Thinking about that, allowing Kansas to score 55 points on you, losing the game in overtime, all those things really added up. And of course, it starts to snowball and trickle a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit more, and it's snowballing, and the effect of Frosty. And it just gets bigger and bigger. Well, I think that's kind of what's happened here to this Mountaineers football this season, and I'm really, really disappointed for young brothers. I really thought they were going to have a much better year this year. I truly believed it. The last thing I've ever talked about was to Neil Brown and wishing him the best of wishes. And I still wish for Neil Brown the best of wishes, no matter what his job is going to be or non-job, wherever that may be. I'm not here calling for Neil Brown to be released or endorsed. What I'm calling for is for either one to happen. See, I've said, I came up before and I said, I had some tweets out there and then I've had a lot of reaction to them. And maybe that's good. It's good for stimulation, good for what's going on. And I think that, my standpoint is this. I said, everything is non-emotional right now for your decision-making. Very emotional about the wins and loss record for young brothers. They're very emotional. I support them very much. And as long as Neil Brown and staff are the coaches, I will support them until whenever. So don't misunderstand this. I put out a tweet about Shane Lyons when they agreed to let go or released or whatever it was. It's good because if there's a problem in your program, it might come from the top. It might start from the top. Now, I'm not worried about Shane. I know he's a good guy, and I know he's going to do well down in Alabama. But we have to worry about what the Mountaineers are and what we're about. I've been around this program since 1981. 4 years with my brother Ron. Got recruited that fifth year, 1985, to go to West Virginia. Then 1986 through 1990, I played with the Mountaineers for 5 years. And then I came back as a graduate assistant coach and went on their staff. And then I left for a little bit, continued my coaching, continued some other things, came back on staff, coaching, all of that. On staff as the alumni guy, administration, broadcaster, been around since 1981. I was here before many were here. And that doesn't give me anything over anyone else. But what it does give me is a perspective of what has happened since 1981 over through the years, through Don Nalen, to Rich Rod, to Bill Stewart, to Dana Holgerson, to Neil Brown. And to be quite honest with you, I've sat next to them all. I know them all very well, extremely well do I know them. I was with Neil Brown 2-3 times a week doing the press conference, reporting on that, doing the radio show with him, doing the pregame and post games. I have been at WVU with WVU all this time. I'm not leaving WVU. But what I decided to do is I want to make it straight. I want to make the WolfMan's call. That's why I called it the show, the WolfMan's call, because I want to make honest decisions, honest questions, honest answers. I don't think anyone can ask Neil Brown hard questions. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't believe that anyone does. And, I've been there before, and people have said that about me as well. So, listen, I am not putting blame on others. But I am now. I'm saying this. Hard questions about why this program, in your fourth year, is now 4-7. Maybe it'll be 5-7. Maybe it'll be 4-8. Regardless, you're not going bowling. This is all not Neil Brown's fault. I'm going to tell you right now, after what I've known, I've come to learn about Neil Brown, he's a pretty darn good coach. Something's gone astray. I know coaching. I was a coach. I was a head football coach for a collegiate football team. I know how to change programs. I've been involved with changing programs. I've seen so much in the football world. Well, I'm talking football now. We're just talking football. I've seen so much. From my two brothers to myself, the experiences that we've had together as a family, separately as individuals, to my experiences to WVU. There's a lot of experiences in there, and that's what I'm trying to express to Mountaineer Nation. You got to either endorse Neil Brown or let him go. And people are saying there are millions at stake. Yeah, I know there are millions at stake, but you let Shane Lyons go right before signing period. And then you say you have 3 to 4 weeks that you want to sign a new AD. Well, all this time that you're doing this, and you said, if I'm saying this right, maybe not quoting it, but I'm paraphrasing, is you will let the new AD make the decision when he gets here. Well, signing date's in the middle of December. And even if you get here December 1 as an AD, are you going to really be able to evaluate the last 4 years of Neil Brown? Are we really to believe that the new AD is going to have this payout for whatever Neil Brown will get, regardless, is going to be in the hands of a new athletic director and not even know the resources of the finances, not even to know what they are? Or are you going to say, hey, maybe we're parting ways with this coach, bring in the next coach? That's fine. But a decision has to be made because recruits are going, well, Coach Brown, I understand. I love you. I want to come to West Virginia if you're here. I don't know if you're going to be here. I don't know. Then you say, well, if you let Neil Brown go, you're going to get guys saying, well, I'm going to go somewhere else. Well, that's why you have an interim coach that's got to go to these recruits and keep in touch with them and say, listen, hang on. We got somebody really good coming in, somebody really special. You don't want to miss this opportunity. You don't. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying anything more than I'm concerned about this recruiting situation. You say, what's the rush? The rush is, if you're saying what's the rush, then you don't understand college football and recruiting and the time period of what's happening. Listen, I'm telling you right now, Neil Brown is one heck of a recruiter. Neil Brown is a really good coach. as I said, some things have gone astray in the program, and you can't blame it all on him. And someone has to be held accountable. And that stops with the head coach, like all other bosses. It's the way it's supposed to. It's the way it always has been. It's the way it should always continue. And I think that's the way it's going to go. But, bottom line is WVU has to move in a positive direction. And bringing negativity around this or negativity around there, saying all these bad reports, the locker room, whatever the players saying, we know what reality is. You heard Neil Brown say, hey, listen, these guys are going to have options in the portal. Now, I don't know what that's saying. Does that mean that it's these guys have options? Because you're not supposed to be able to be contacted until you go into the portal. But, of course, in today's day and age and the whole NIL, players saying, hey, man, if you go in the portal, you're going to get picked up. You got opportunities. Whatever it may be, I don't know. But I'm smart enough to know that something is not right with not knowing who the head coach is at this time, at this period. I'm smart enough for that. I've been around this football. And I'm going to tell anyone out there, if you don't think that Neil Brown knows how to coach football, you're incredibly wrong. And I will stand up against anyone. I will stand on a table and say that he knows how to coach. Things went wrong. There's other people that are involved. Other people have heard. Maybe he made bad decisions. But don't tell me he doesn't know how to coach. That's what I don't want to hear. And you can say, "What? I don't know. I don't know." I've been a professional coach. I've been a player. I've been a broadcaster. I've been an administrator. I've really seen it all, but in a lot of ways. And you can either believe me or you don't have to. That's your choice. But regardless of all that is being said, for Mother WVU, we need to go in a positive direction. Because floating downstream with no navigational thing, no rudder, no steering wheel, whatever you want to call it. Floating downstream is more opportunity for players that are here, players that are hopefully coming to find other ways out of WVU. Because I know that would affect me. It would affect me. And I've heard a lot of guys talk about the transfer portal and the NIL and how good it is and how bad it is. It's here, man. It's here. Not anything that we can do besides refine it. I like the way in the transfer portal they have some dead dates and some periods. I like that. That's a good first step to controlling a crazy situation. The NIL, I think that's going to have to take time to work itself out, but it's good. Players are getting paid. Players have options. Players have choices. That's all good. It's not the old Don Nehlen world anymore. It just is not. But at the same time, I don't want to see abuses. I don't want to see young brothers disrespecting other young brothers right before it's that opportunity, that time of respect. I want respect in the game again. I want respect. Not just walking out and doing a tweet saying goodbye. I'm not so old school. I can blend. I can go here and I can go there. But don't lose respect in the game of football, because that's really what it's about. And there's so many things that I have so many things to talk about. And going live and the WolfMan's call is going to do that. Talking about football. Where has it gone? Where is it going? What are these techniques? Why is there such poor play here or such great play over here? Why are there so many yards being accumulated here and so many things going wrong over there? This game of football is crazy right now. And I'm not just talking about the NIL transfer portal. I'm talking on the field. There are things right now, and I would say there are old school philosophies and systems that are not being placed. You say that's not good. Well, I don't know. Michigan's doing it right now, and Michigan seems to be putting a lot of hurt on teams that don't know how to go man-on-man blocking. Don't know how to go ahead and have a linebacker meet an offensive lineman in the gap, hit him and shed him, and then make the tackle. I'm seeing a lot of things that are not technique-wise fundamentally sound. This whole game of football is in a transition right now. And I can look at it as, wow, this kind of stinks, but over here, this is really cool. This is really cool, man. We got some good stuff going on right over here. I like it. And there are aspects to the game of that. And the transfer portal, and I see this young guy that just was in a bad place. He made a wrong decision. He made a wrong choice about where he went, and he has the opportunity to go and fix it and go do something better for that. And that's really cool. But there's a whole nother flip side to that and how that could hurt the team. So these are things and issues that have to be worked out. There's a good side and a bad side to everything. But this is what I'm saying that WVU needs to do. We have to get to the good side of it all, meaning we need a coach, Neil Brown or somebody else that's going to be the head coach, whatever the decision is. We need to win in the transfer portal. And I'm going to be blunt, WolfMan's call. I don't want to see a whole bunch of FCS guys replace Power 5 guys. I don't want to see it. I think it hurt a lot this year. I think you have to go after guys of equal. That's no disrespect to anybody. Sometimes playing the FCS is you're playing where you belong. Sometimes G5, you're playing where you belong. And sometimes you're not. There's a good side and a bad side to everything. But those are the things I want to really get into in the off season. And a couple other things I want to talk about. Just defense, man. Defense. What's happening? I understand you don't have time or you can go heavy and tackle all the time. But you can go live for 2 periods a week and go live. I believe you can still do that, even though they're playing 12 games. You say the NFL doesn't do that. Well, I tell you that fundamentals are developed supposedly from Pee-wee to middle to high school to college to the NFL. Well, when you go down now, there's no fundamentals. Many places, fundamentals being developed in Pee-wee, not in middle school, not in high school. And so now you get to college and you're not developing. So when did fundamentals get there? Why is tackling so poor? Well, maybe because you haven't tackled in a long time. Maybe because you haven't really learned the proper ways of tackling. I don't have an answer right now for everything. That's why I want to talk about it. But there's so many things going on in football. So many things. That's what I talk about. I mean, it is absolutely incredible when you think about the whole transfer portal to NIL and what has come on in this time with COVID. What are the effects, man? What things have happened at this time? Things have just exploded in some places. And I think here at West Virginia, it caught a little bit of that. It had some tough times. And it's okay, but we need to find a way to get better. If you're going to the transfer portal, I want you to win the transfer portal. If you're NIL, I want you to win NIL. That's it. You got to know how to win. You just can't win on the field anymore. You just can't win with the X's and O's. You just can't win with recruiting. Although recruiting really is what it's about. I think maybe all those things together add up to the recruiting because you need the Jimmies and Joes. I don't care what philosophy you have. You need the Jimmies and the Joes. And right now, that's what West Virginia overall is lacking. Well, that's my summation for what I think about West Virginia and football. I think there's a lot of things that need to be changed. And Neil Brown, I want everyone to know I like Neil Brown. And I know he's a good coach. And let me just say this. Bill Belichick was my brother Ronnie's coach for 3 years. He was there for 3 years with the Cleveland Browns. Got run out of Cleveland. And now is number 2 coach in the NFL for most victories Number 2. Yep. Okay, I know. We all know about the Brady and all that. But he's number 2 coach in the NFL. You're not always successful at first. Things are not always in place for you to be successful. I thank Neil Brown for coming to West Virginia University because I know that nobody's worked harder for this football team than Neil Brown. I know that for a fact. Go ahead. Come at me again. You'll lose. You'll lose because Neil Brown has busted his can to be successful. He's busted his can for the state of West Virginia, for its people, for its fan base, for Mountaineer Nation. He has busted his can. And I'll always wish him the best. Always wish him the best. Things have not gone well. We'll see where it goes from here. He may continue to be the head coach. He may not. Once and last time, I will say the decision needs to be made. And the final thing I want to say before we get a little bit into this Oklahoma State and the breakdown of it, is you have to really look at NIL. NIL is absolutely leading the way here. And what West Virginia has is Country Roads Trust. Country Roads Trust and the athletic department have to surge forward together, in my opinion, or the Mountaineers will be left behind. Country Roads Trust, and I believe in them fully, and I know what they're trying to do, and whether we like it or not, it doesn't matter. If you want to root for college football, if you want to root for the Mountaineers, and you want the Mountaineers to be successful, you're going to have to buy into the Country Roads Trust and the NIL. It's just that simple. We need to be ahead of the game. Is there any correlation, you think, to Tennessee being once again a relevant football team in the country, not just the SEC? Is there a correlation that their collective is one of the tops in the country? And we're not talking Rocky Top now. We're talking top country. Tennessee, the collective. And they're getting their players what they need. And they're doing it in a national way. Well, I think that's a model that West Virginia is trying to follow and leading, because what they're doing at Country Roads Trust is certainly ahead of the game. And honestly, is going to be a huge, huge impact for the future of WVU football, basketball, and athletics, their athletic department. It's just going to be that way. So Country Roads Trust, if you don't follow them, I highly, highly suggest you do, because that is what WVU needs, especially in this transitory time. We don't know what the conferences are going to be. We don't know where that's going. Don't have the crystal ball working, and I really don't think many others do. I think it's going to happen, and happen in a fast way, and it's going to be shape and form. And those teams that have prepared for the move will be there. The teams that are already preparing and prepared will be able to make the jump quickly. Those teams that haven't been preparing, no, it's going to be tough for them, and it'll be hard. Not saying they can't do it. I'm saying they're not prepared. They're not going to make it an easy transition. What I think is the Mountaineers are preparing for the future, and it'll make it a lot easier for them to stay in the big game, in the big picture.
Hi, my name is Wyatt Milam, and I'm from Canova, West Virginia. When I'm back home in Canova, you will find me at my local Parmar store.
We had that golden blue pride at Parmar. There are literally hundreds of Parmar stores in West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, and even more on the way. Download the Parmar app to save even more. And whether it's food, gas, groceries, or whatever, we have you covered at Parmar. West Virginia proud and ready to serve you.
And if there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
All right. Let's go ahead and quickly break down the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Oklahoma State Cowboys on offense. Spencer Sanders. He's leading the Big 12 in total yards, about 2,600, little over 2,600 yards passing. He's got 500 plus yards rushing. He's a dual threat quarterback. And a dual threat quarterback to me is not a guy who has to be a Josh Allen in the NFL, where you get all these calls for running the quarterback. A dual threat quarterback to me is a quarterback that has a feel in the pocket. A feel in the pocket, he can move around and not be sacked. Or he's got such a feel that he can escape the pocket using his legs as a quarterback that can extend the plays and move the chains with his legs and not just his arm. So a dual threat quarterback is a little bit this guy. I don't want a straight up dude that's going to be a running back. I don't want a straight up dude that's going to be a running back. I want a dual threat quarterback, but it's a quarterback that can use his arm and legs. Whatever's needed to make that first down, to make that red zone touchdown. That's the key. And that's the name of it. And Spencer Sanders, when he's on, boy, he's on. Oklahoma State, wow, 4-4 in the Big 12. They've had a tough time. But if you looked at that Oklahoma game when they got railed, Oklahoma State got railed by Oklahoma, and the week before, Oklahoma got railed there by West Virginia. It wasn't the same team of Oklahoma that played Oklahoma State that played the Mountaineers. Don't think they really wanted to be here. I think the Mountaineers ticked them off enough, so they went out there to Oklahoma and just put the lashing. There's a big hurt waiting for the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys could take the Mountaineers to poke that one up. So the Oklahoma State Cowboys are very prideful. They have been excellent. They're 6-0. They're in Stillwater. They are on a 15-game win streak, I believe, at home. And they obviously play better at home, just like the Mountaineers. So when you think about all that in there and a Gundy coach, it's going to be a tough battle for the Mountaineers. I want to see what the attitude is when coming out. Body language will tell a lot. I want to see a lot of young players play. I don't care if we win or lose this game. Of course, I want to win. I would rather see who's got potential and who doesn't. If you're going to play a senior the whole game, not going to make me happy. If you're going to go with Garrett Green and play him for 90% of the time, I'm not going to be happy. I want to see Goose. I want to see Nico. I want to see what they can do. I know what Garrett Green can do now, and congrats. I tell you, Garrett Green, phenomenal athlete. I know what he can do now. I've seen it. Very successful. He won the game against the Sooners. Man, that was cool because the West Virginia had not done it since joining the Big 12. We all know that. Huge. Gigi, man, total respect for your young brother. Total respect. I give it to you, man. I also want to see what else there is. I want to see what Nico can do. This is a time of transition right now. A time of transition. I want to see what Goose can do, right? Let's see. Let's see what all can do. Let's watch the young guys and get in there in defense. The guys that have been going to get redshirted, maybe they get a little bit of playing time. You can't have a free-for-all. You can't just say, okay, all freshmen out there. No, that will obviously be a bad thing. But you have to be smart as a coach, and you have to put in the players in a strategic way to allow them to play, to see what they have, to not be a big detriment out there, like having 8 freshmen out there at one time. So please don't say, I want to go 8 freshmen at one time and play. No, it's not what I want. I want strategic. I want guys that are possibly guys that are higher up, that are close to playing right now, that could possibly be a needle mover for next year, something like that. It's good to know. It's good for Neil Brown to know going into the winter conditioning, and it's good for anyone else to know. But they can see that who could be the players, get a jump on that. I want to see young guys. Hey, how about Jalen Anderson, man? Last week, whenever he's been out there, it seems like he's done a decent job. So I want to see him get some reps as well. And I want to see other players, like I said, what about on the D, man? Linebacker, defensive line. We got some young pups in there, man. Let's see what they can do. I want to see Jalen Thornton. I want to see him get some more reps. He's another guy that has another year or two, and let's see what they can do. We're losing Dante, man. And hey, how about this? Dante Stells, Big Red. Mike Montoro put out the stat about 61.5 sacks for Gary the father, for Darius, the oldest son, and for Dante, the youngest son, together. Dante is, leader in TFLs, 4th in sacks. He can still make some moves Saturday. if he gets it. So again, what a great legacy. Like I said, loyalty, man. They stuck with the Mountaineers. I'm always going to appreciate that. Both Darius and Dante, loyalty, man. And you know what that's going to do? It's led up to this. Now they're royalty. And that shows you what loyalty can do, because I'm big on loyalty, man. Big on respect. So big respect to the Stills boys. Legacy. And congratulations, Gary, on you and Janine as well. So with that being said, you know, let's watch what the Mountaineers can do. If you want to really get into the numbers, I mean, you know, Oklahoma State is 5th in the Big 12 in offense. They're 8th in the Big 12 in defense. Mountaineers are 9th in offense, 10th on defense. Numbers aren't going to get you anything. It comes down to you got to be able to stop Spencer Sanders. The defense has to continue to keep trying to get better and playing, because I do believe that they've been playing better as a unit. And offensively speaking, let's get these other quarterbacks in there. And I'm going to say this. Last thing I'm going to say, and I'm not trying to be on a pulpit today, but you know, when you sit there and say that JT Daniels would be good without an offensive line, he has had an offensive line. I think JT Daniels may have gotten hurt, and this is not. I am not going to. JT Daniels is now a young brother, and so I'm not going to bash. But I think the need for a quarterback, as I stated before, to be able to move around the pocket is huge. To extend plays with his legs to a chain. I'm not talking straight up dual threat, okay? It's not. But the whole idea of what I'm saying is someone that can get you a first down or a touchdown with his legs. That's what you need. And I think that's like, don't sit there and tell me that the offense line has played it totally poorly. They were a lot better than last year and may continue to get better. So I'm not going to listen to that as well, because it's just not the truth. And you know what else is the truth to some degree is some of our receivers had to learn to get off of man coverage. Those big losses, teams are doing a lot of man coverage. Expect Oklahoma State to play a lot of man coverage. They already like the blitz. They already like man coverage. But because our receivers have had hard times at times, not Bryce Ford-Wheaton as much. I mean, he is third in the nation contested catches. So I do think that stat actually means something. And when we talk about that 50-50 ball, well, I think that Bryce Ford-Wheaton has shown himself. You know, Sam James, congratulations. Big game last week for you personally. I would say you're now 5th in WVU and all time in receptions, man. That's huge. Congratulations, young brother, on that. I don't want that to go unknown. I don't want the fact that Bryce Ford-Wheaton is going to finish 12th, or he is 12th. I'm not sure how much more he can move up in one game. But again, those are some stellar careers for WVU, some stellar guys to watch, hopefully, as they advance. Darius Stills was picked up by the Birmingham Stallions in the USFL. Congratulations. All it takes is one. I told him that in my text to him, wishing him a happy Turkey Day. Only takes one to believe, baby. Never give up your dream until you have to give up the dream, and then another dream comes in. All right, Mountaineer Nation. Listen, we go live tomorrow, 9 a.m. from the Mountaineer Tap House at Wolf's Den Studios. We go live. They're at 10:30 with the whole Mountaineer Legends crew, brought to you by Parmar Stores, the Mountaineer Tap House. And also, remember, tomorrow at the Mountaineer Legends pregame, that we want you to participate. If you got questions for the Mountaineer Legends, man, please get it in there, put them up there. If they're good, we'll answer them. If they're cheesy, if they're cheap shots, if they're this, that, whatever, they're not good enough, we won't put them out. But we want you to join us. We want you to join in the participation on this last Mountaineer Legends pregame of 2022. Ending time with this first year Mountaineer Legends pregame. Myself, the Wolfman, and Big Bad Brian Joswiak. And Monday at 11 a.m., I am going to have AB. That's right. Anthony Beck has got to come in, and he is now the head coach of the XFL of the St. Louis Battlehawks. We're going to be talking all things XFL, about the game of football, where it's headed. I think that man needs to be in the Mountaineer Football Hall of Fame. We need to talk a little bit about his son, Rocco, what he's doing out at Iowa State, a Big 12 partner there. So a lot of things to talk about. Anthony Beck, I'm sure he's got a lot to say. Maybe he is never not had a lot to say, so I'm really excited about that. And hopefully we'll be able to bring that to you at 11 a.m. live or shortly thereafter. Well, that's it, my friends. 2022 football. Well, the season's coming to an end, but there's so much to talk about for WVU football. So much going on, and I want you to know I only wish the best for all involved to make the right decisions so that West Virginia University football may be relevant again in the game of football, may rise up, because there's so much there, so much opportunity, so much history that we cannot fail. We will not fail. And I believe in good old mother WVU. We want to thank Parmar Stores for being the sponsor of WolfMan's Call. If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be one soon. And they just keep coming and coming. And Artisan Grange Company. Switch to hemp, just the dip. Do it the AGC way. Artisan Grange Company hemp. And White Oak Pastures. Radical traditional farming, man. It's good. Listen, they got 10 different kinds of meats. They got everything, all grass fed. It's good for nature, man. It's good for us. It's healthy. And of course, it's good for the village, man. And I just want to say it. White Oak Pastures. I really believe in this. I believe in doing what's right for all, including Mother Earth. Mother WVU, Mother Earth. Using a little bit of mothers here. Must be sentimental the day after Thanksgiving. Well, that's it, my friends. And always, always hail West Virginia. Boom!